So the first question is, the Pharisees obviously disagreed with Jesus' teaching, but people don't usually try to arrest those who they disagree with. If you were one of the Pharisees, why would you have wanted to go after Jesus? What would you what would cause you to want to um, punish Jesus? Yes.
I thought he was getting blasphemy, and blasphemy is a group.
Yeah, they believed he was blaspheming, which was serious in Jesus' day. And the truth is, and I've told you this already, that either it's true or it is blasphemy. If it wasn't true, it would have been blasphemy, but they didn't understand who Jesus was. So, for some of them, I don't think they ever did figure out who he was. Some did. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, namely. Next question. When Jesus said he would go somewhere, the Jews thought Jesus was going to leave them to teach the Gentiles who had begun to follow Judaism. So that he was going to go out of Judea and go to those who were not Jews. Um, so, what's that? Why didn't they understand what Jesus was saying? What? It is a question. Yeah, I'll read it again. When Jesus said he would go somewhere, the Jews thought that Jesus was going to leave them to teach Gentiles who had begun to follow Judaism. Um, why didn't they understand what Jesus was saying? It stems back to the last question. They didn't believe he was the Messiah. They didn't believe he was even a good teacher. He was a man not to be listened to. And so their lack of faith in him made them dismiss Jesus as a false teacher. And their wrong take on Messiah had played in that too. He's not from Nazareth, or he's not from Bethlehem. He can't be the Messiah. But he was from Bethlehem. He was born there. But they didn't know that. It all stems back to their lack of faith in him. Next question. Imagine that you were a Jew in Jesus' day. What might have made you side with the Pharisees against Jesus? Yes.
Well, to them, like Jesus was like taught their entire lives, like
So Jesus wasn't, what's that last part?
all
Yeah, to them, Jesus wasn't following the law rightly. He can't be a good teacher if he's teaching false doctrine, right? And that's what they believe. Um, and there were people that believed in him, but it was generally the common people. And we're about to, after this, chapter talk about a woman who was an outcast, um, and so that those people loved Jesus. The powerful people, the people that were educated, didn't. He was a false teacher to them. So if you were one of the Pharisees, um, the high likelihood, if I was one of the Pharisees, the high likelihood would be that we would be against Jesus, because the vast majority did. There were very few who didn't believe in Jesus. Now, after the resurrection, maybe some came to Christ. But at this time in history, they wouldn't have um, they wouldn't have wanted to be on Jesus' side. What does it seem to you that the Jewish people wanted Jesus to be? Yes.
Prophet or like someone they could get stuff out of.
Yeah, a prophet, someone that could give them things, right? And miracles, wanting more miracles. I think the other part of that is that they want Rome out of their country. And so most of them believed that Messiah would do that. Now, they were wrong about that, obviously. They were wrong about a lot of things, um, but he wasn't that kind of a Messiah. He didn't come to free them from Rome. He came to free them from sin. And they didn't get that part. And again, a few did, but by and large, they didn't understand that. And most of them, not even after Jesus Paul changed, but most of the others died believing that Jesus was part of yeah. Sorry, I mangled it. Charlatan. Would you have wanted what they wanted? Why or why not? So remember, I just said they thought Messiah would get the Romans out. So you're just a regular Jewish girl, boy, man, woman. And so um, what would, uh, yeah, would you have wanted what they wanted? Yes.
Probably yes. Because like it's been taught the whole life that the Messiah is going to be
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Again, I think we might want to think that we'd be different, but I'm not sure we would be. I'm not sure I would be uh, different. So yeah, the Romans have been, probably for all these people, had been over them their whole lives, and they wanted to be free. Listen, everywhere on this planet, people want to be free. People want to have the ability to live their lives the way they want, not the way the government does. Which is why people are willing to go to great lengths to get out of closed countries. I talked to you, I think, about the Checkpoint Charlie uh, museum in Berlin, and it told the stories of people who tried to get out and didn't, and it told the stories of people who tried to get out and did, and they were willing to risk their lives just to be free. And this is an aside, but I really hope that you appreciate freedom we have in this country, because there are not many countries that do. And they wanted to be free. We all do. We all want to be free. What do you think the officers meant by their response to the chief priests and Pharisees in verse 46? So verse 46 says this. The officers answered, "No one ever spoke like this man." What did they mean by that? Yeah, yeah. His knowledge.
Maybe like maybe that he was saying
Yeah. And he was saying, if you are willing to listen to him, he was saying things. He said hard things, but he was also saying and doing things uh, that were unusual. And the common people appreciated that. In fact, a very common woman is going to be the next story we talk about. One of my favorite stories in the Gospel of John. We'll talk about that when we get there, but it's the woman caught in adultery. And Jesus shows her grace. So that is our clue that he grants us grace as well. So, yeah. Um, what was this a valid, so was their response a valid excuse for their disobedience? You don't think so? Why?
well just if it's your job to do that and like in their eyes.
It's kind of a difficult scale, right? It's insubordination, which was wrong, at least to the Jews thought it was wrong. But he really is enamored by Jesus and wanting to know more about Jesus. So there are people all over the world that break the laws of their country to make Jesus. Um, and my belief on that is that that's okay, because the law is wrong and regressive and um, unfair. Okay, next question. We got two more. Scripture doesn't tell us if Nicodemus ever believed in Jesus. If he was a believer, do you think that he was bold enough before the Pharisees? Why or why not? Yes.
No. He didn't like explicitly stand up and defend like, oh, like, you have to do this the other way. But he wasn't just like, no, Jesus is wrong. Jesus is right. And you guys are wrong. Like, I'm one. And then, like,
Yeah, he definitely could have been bolder, but was anyone else bolder? That's about as bold as it got, right? In that situation. Um, this is I. What would you have done in his place? So I don't like those questions, because what we say is, yes, I would have been bold, but the truth, at the risk of our possibly our lives, or at least in a squalid prison. I don't know. I don't know. So it's impossible. We have not been in that kind of situation. I even as an eighth grader when I went to a church service. It wasn't on a Sunday, it was on a Friday night, and professed Christ for the first time. I was in seventh grade, probably eighth grade. And when a friend asked me if I was a believer, I denied it. I denied it because I didn't want her, because she was like, "You believe in Jesus?" Now, I'm obviously more mature and been walking with Jesus for a very long time now. But if the stakes were higher, it's hard to know what we would have done. But hopefully we would have stuck up for Jesus. Okay, so we got that done, and I think we're just gonna stop there.